בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים. We're back in here Tuesday in Aventura, Florida, in our series, our new series of the era of Mashiach, based on the writings of Arab Elchanan Wasserman, Alav Shalom. And for anyone who hasn't watched part one, I highly recommend watching the first lecture before you watch this one. It'll help you understand a lot more of what we're talking about today, but even if you didn't, you could still listen. But again, it'll be much easier to understand what we'll talk about today once you have the introduction of who's speaking. Meaning that a lot of people speak different things, but we always ask, why should I listen to such and such person? When you hear the first hour of last week's shiur, you understand who we're dealing with and why we should hear it. Today's shiur, Be'ezrat Hashem, will be for a refuah shlema and atzlacha rabba for Levana bat Sarah, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, for Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, Yitro ben Avraham, Dvora bat Mercedes, Esther bat Zipora, Serach bat Batya, Batya bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael, Be'ezrat Hashem, will have a refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, and also, again, leave the best for last, a refuah shlema for our dear partner, Vimesh ben Noach. Kadosh Baruch Hu will give him refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. So, last week we learned a little bit about Rav Wasserman himself. Really, the hour we spoke about him doesn't do it any justice. There's a whole bio that I read about him before, and honestly, one of the saddest moments of the bio was completing it. You just hope you get to see more and learn more. But the life of the tzaddikim, the life of Gdolei Ador is so interesting and so impactful on your life that the Chachamim always say that it's when you learn about the tzaddikim, you learn their life history and so on, it's like Maaseh Merkava. Maaseh Merkava is like the workings of the heavens, what's happening in heaven, which the Gemara in Masechet Chagigah says that you're not supposed to teach Maaseh Merkava. You're not supposed to teach if you know. You're not supposed to teach the things of what's happening in heaven, different things that are beyond the scope of the teachings we have, obviously. But some of the sages, like Rabbi Akiva, who actually went there, saw it, and is the one that saw it and stayed and improved as a result of it. Out of the four that went to the Pardes, he was the only one that actually saw it and came back okay. While one died, one went crazy, and one became a apikos. Elisha ben Avuya, Elisha Acher, who was at one point the rabbi of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, meaning that the mechanics of what's happening in the heavens is so extraordinary that it's not for everyone to learn. But when you learn about the history, the life, the actions of the tzaddikim, it's like learning about what's happening in heaven. Because you see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu deals with his precious ones, deals with his chosen ones, deals with his loyal soldiers, loyal servants, his dear sons and his dear daughters that were committed their entire life to him. And you see all the wonderful miracles that he does for them, all of the things that they had to do in order to become, it's such a high level. But I highly recommend reading his bio, Rav Wasserman's bio, and as my Rav taught me, and I try to teach you, at all times, regardless of whether you're at a stage of your life where you're learning just the Chumash, or you're learning Gemara, or you're learning Shulchan Aruch, or a combination thereof, at all times you should also be reading a bio of one of our sages. And you go through one after another. You could start with one, and then another, and then another. Always read the bio of a Chacham, because you'll understand who you are related to. Much more significant impact can happen from there than perhaps much of your other Torah studies, because many things that sometimes you learn seems like it's distant at first. If you learn, let's say, about the Parashat Shavua, and it's, let's say, the parasha that talks about korbanot. How can you relate to it as a person living, 3,300 years later? Number one, there's no more korbanot. Number two, you're not a Kohen Gadol. What is it going to do for you? So, sometimes a person needs to connect to something to be able to visualize it. And one of the greatest ways is to learn about the tzaddikim. And you can start with familiar names, whoever you have a interest in. If you know of somebody, that whether it's a Rav Moshe Feinstein, a Rav Ovadia, a Rav Elchanan Wasserman, all of the sages have some bio written about them. Some are more expansive than others. Some have many of them, especially the people of today. And some have less. You could read about the Rambam, the Arizal, Rashi. And you'll see many, many different things and understand the things that they did in their life were far beyond what you're going to see just from their commentary or from their, because they don't necessarily usually speak of themselves. But the point being is that it's something that you should learn from on a regular basis. This is something that I like to do usually on Shabbat, to read a little bit of a bio at all times. Right now I'm actually in the Rav Elyashiv. Rav Elyashiv is one of his bios. And it's, you see who these amazing people are, and you just are enamored at the opportunity to be connected to these giants. Now, Rav Wasserman, alav Shalom, he was a giant among giants, also the Talmid Muvak of the Chafetz Chaim, that fought very, very hard to save as many neshamot as possible, as we talked about last week, whether it was his yeshiva in Baranovich, or after it was shut down by the Reshaim, the Goyim, that hated Torah, hated God, and then he had to move it to Kovna and restart again for a short period of time before that was destroyed. The point being, he had hundreds and hundreds of kids that he taught throughout the years, and many of them became Gdolei Ador. Many of the yeshivot, successful ones especially, that you see in the world today, stemmed from there. A time where it was a life risk to learn Torah. Today you can learn Torah as much as you want, no one's going to bother you. You could learn at home, you could go to yeshiva, you go to the kola, you could go to Bet Midrash, whatever you want, you could learn. Back then, you learned Torah, there's a 50-50 chance if you're going to make it through the day. But yet they learned a lot more in one day than most people learn in their lifetime. And it's unbelievable that they were willing to risk their lives and everything to do with it. I mean, you'd have certain times where there was such poverty that the kids and the adults wouldn't eat for days. They wouldn't eat food they wouldn't eat. I'm not talking about they didn't have steak for days. I'm talking about they didn't eat, period, for a few days. Not because it was a fast, just there was no food. But they were satiated completely by their learning Torah. So this is not possible if you're going to learn philosophy. It's not possible if you learn math or science. You can learn science a day, good. Day and a half, pass out. Why? It's not going to give you any, if you survive the day, b'chlal. But we learn Torah, there's a spiritual significance there that is unlike anything other. Now, Rav Wasserman fought to help many people, but also at the same token was almost like a prophet of his generation, where he foresaw the future, the upcoming future, and the horrific picture that was going to happen just years ahead, whether it would be the Holocaust or it would be the time of Mashiach, which is the times that we are in right now. And he already heard it himself 10 years before the Holocaust from the Chafetz Chaim himself, where the Chafetz Chaim told him and several other Talmidim that publicized it that he sees black clouds over the Jewish world and rivers of blood coming if we do not do tshuva. And the Chafetz Chaim wasn't exactly one to exaggerate. And when the Rav Wasserman, every year when he would go see the Chafetz Chaim for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, he would come back excited about all the things that he learned, so much so that he would literally learn what he said to the extent that he remembered every single word, every word. Now, one year he went there, and after the Chafetz Chaim completed his speech, one of the other Chachamim that was there, one of the other people was there, he's like, oh wait, didn't he say this last year? Rav Wasserman looks at him, says, no, last year there was 8 different words. Like, don't you get it? It's a completely different speech. The Chafetz Chaim used 8 different words last year. How did you not know this? That's a Talmid. Halvai Aleinu to have such Talmidim. Halvai Aleinu to be such Talmidim. But the point is, Rabotai, when you have the Chafetz Chaim as the Rav and you understand that every word that he says is Kodesh, it's important that you learn each word. Now, Rav Wasserman wrote this Sefer years before the Holocaust. And as we go through this series, and if you watched last week's shiur, you already know that this is not only things that happened during the Holocaust, but it's actually things that are happening today. And the deeper we go into this book, the more you will see the picture clearly that this is indeed what's happening right now. And it behooves us to learn this word by word, analyze it, absorb it, and apply it to our life immediately, without any hesitation or questions, because when he wrote this Sefer, the Jewish world made fun of him, called him a fanatic, called the Gdol Ador a fanatic, said he's like all darkness, depressing, fanatic, too much, not for this generation. He doesn't understand we're going to get our own country soon. He doesn't understand that we're much more powerful now. He doesn't understand we don't need this God of his. Well, all of those media and socialites and the likes didn't think too much of their own opinion just a few years later, when everything he said and more came true, unfortunately, and we had 6 million of our brothers and sisters murdered in cold blood and tens of millions of others. Now, the reality is that when the Chachamim say something, they choose their words carefully, and you see it even in their day-to-day life, outside of books. There was one time you can find in his bio a very famous story with Rav Wasserman, where in his yeshiva, the only thing you were allowed to do is learn. You weren't allowed to hang out, play with your iPhone, text message each other, maybe do a few WhatsApps. You weren't allowed to do such a thing. You were allowed to learn. But of course, the Yetzirah has soldiers. So one day he sent a bunch of soldiers, a bunch of muflaim, a bunch of gangsters, guys that don't want to do nothing, to go barge into the yeshiva, start causing a mess, scaring the young kids. You know, yeshiva bachu is a real yeshiva bachu is very soft, just wants to learn Torah, leave me alone, don't bother me, I just want to learn about a Kadosh Baruch Hu. I don't want to fist fight. What am I going to do? So a bunch of these hoodlums came in there, and they start, causing a ruckus. Now Rav Wasserman is learning. He's learning his sefer. He doesn't know what's going on in front of him, even though he's at the head, and it's happening right in front of him. And he's learning, he has no idea what's going on, he's just he's with Hashem. And these guys are torturing everybody, and they go row after row, getting closer and closer to Rav Wasserman. Eventually the head hoodlum gets up to Rav Wasserman. He sees the old man learning. Rav Wasserman picks up his eyes and he sees this young boy and he realizes the trouble that he made. And with that look, the kid says, in a joking, sarcastic manner, hey, no hands, no hands. Like, don't hit me. That's it. He's sitting down, so he's learning Torah. No hands, no hands, don't hit me. Rav Wasserman, with complete seriousness, looks at him and says, you no hands. The boy got shocked with the few selected words that the Rav chose, turned around and left with his boys. The next day, he got ran over by a truck, and they chopped off both of his arms. The news found out about this whole story, and they say, if Rav Wasserman says something, you should listen. If he says no hands, that means you're not going to have hands. Now, you could say no hands as much as you want, it's not going to mean anything. Rav Wasserman says it. Why? Because when everything that comes out of your mouth is Kedusha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the Tzaddik says, and I make it happen. Tzaddik decrees, and I fulfill. Now, Rav Wasserman, in last week's section, told us that there's going to be a little bit of an insight about the times of Mashiach, how unlike what many people think, it's not going to be such a pleasant time. There's not going to be a celebration of people saying Mashiach now, or with running in the streets with a flag. It's not going to be such a hooray type of time frame. So much so that the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says that the greatest of the generations that we've had, the times of the Babylonian Talmud, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos, and many of the sages of the generation that discussed Mashiach said, we want Mashiach to come, we just don't want to be alive when he does. We want him to come. Why? Because that's going to be the culmination of the world. Hashem's name will be sanctified once and for all. Everyone will know there's one and only God. There's no more idolatry. Bezat Hashem. All idolatry will be destroyed. Great. But because we also know of the birth pangs that will happen to bring this new reality into the world, we're scared. Even though we're holy, even though we learn Torah all day, we're scared to live at that time. And that's why with their students who believed with Emunah Shlema in the 13 Ikarim, in the 13 principles of faith, that you have to believe that the Mashiach can arrive at any day. If you don't believe Mashiach is going to come, you're considered apikos. Cannot count you in a minyan. You don't necessarily need to want him to come, but you have to believe that he can come. Tomorrow, the next day, and so on and so forth. So the Talmidim asked their teachers, Rabbi Eliezer, what can we do if you're scared? What about us? We're even more scared. If you're the patish, you're the hammer of the generation, you're scared, well, what about us? Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos says, if you want to be saved at the time of Mashiach, you have to focus your entire life on two things. Torah ve'gmilut chasadim. Fulfill the Torah, learn it, fulfill it. No questions asked. Stop making excuses. Don't look for safek. Don't look for a gray area. Just do what it says. Whether you understand it or you don't doesn't make a difference. Like it, don't make a difference. Don't look for leniencies. Just do what it says. Second, overwhelming kindness. Gmilut chasadim. What is that? There's different levels of kindness, but the highest level of kindness is to help Am Yisrael return to Abba. Return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Do any type of kindness that you can, but try to do the best. If you're already going to make an investment, make a good one. So, when a person toils in Torah and makes kiruv their business, whether it's because they work in their day job selling newspapers and building buildings, and then they give their money so that they're donating their maaser or their chomesh to kiruv, or random donations, or they give out CDs, or they share lectures that they're watching right now, because that will be selfish that you're the only one that's watching and no one else is allowed. If you just simply press the share button, someone else can do tshuva too. The point being is, if somebody makes sure that every day they do kiruv, every day they're involved in it, and they're fulfilling the Torah, Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkinen says, the Torah promises you're going to be okay at the time of Mashiach. But if you don't pray share, you should pray for Mashiach not to come. You don't donate for kiruv, because even though you have, pray for Mashiach not to come. Read Tehillim every day, Mashiach don't come, Mashiach don't come, Mashiach don't come. Why? I'm going to tell you. No, what'd you do for me to come? You say, I learned Torah. You learned Torah for you. I did mitzvot. Did mitzvot for you. Torah says, do mitzvot. What'd you do for me to come? I ate a donut at the Hanukkah party. Next. I wore a kippah. Not so much. I prayed 3 times a day. It's not going to help you. Did you press share? Did you donate for kiruv? Did you help Am Yisrael return to Abba? No, not so much. Why? You didn't have any money? No, I had money. So what did you do with the money? I bought some watches. I bought new sneakers. I have 500 pairs of sneakers. Maybe the Mashiach wants sneakers? Not so much. I have an eagle. Only sneakers. So what? Why didn't you donate? Oh, it was expenses. Well, expenses on your watches, expenses on the hats, expenses on the sneakers, on a third house, investment portfolio. Yeah, I figured once I grow my investment account, then I'm going to give a big donation. But it never happened, did it? Oh. So you didn't do anything, did you? Did you at least press share? Yeah, I forgot that too. Oh, okay. You go on the side. Over there. Next to Hitler. Why? Same mentality. Why? You had an opportunity to save people. Free. You had an opportunity to save people for free. Nobody's asking you for money if you have no money. No money, who cares? But you have an opportunity for free to save people today. You can help people do tshuva by the dozens for free today. Got a few young boys. I mean, they're not boys. Some of them are already men. They're in their 20s. Right now, they're not working. They're regular jobs. You know what they're doing? They're giving out CDs. They sent me a text message. Rabbi, I saw your lecture. You said you're giving out CDs. Can I be part of the team? Can I give out CDs? I said, yeah. Kol Chaim, I'll give you some CDs. You give it out in the community. And Baruch Hashem, they're giving out hundreds of CDs. Each one of these CDs is a ticket to Gan Eden. Why? You listen to the CD. You watch the CD. You do what it says. Baruch Hashem, you go to Gan Eden. Instead of sitting home playing PlayStation, doing nothing all day, watching the stock market, watching what the death toll is today, you're actually giving out some CDs, doing some kiruv for free. For free. You didn't do it. Hashem says, you lost an opportunity. You lost an opportunity. It shows you're very selfish. And if you're very selfish about this, you're probably selfish about other things. So, of course, it's a little bit of an exaggeration with the side with the Hitler, just to make it a little dramatic, guys. So don't send me 18 texts tomorrow. Wow, really, I'm going to know. You're not going to be with Hitler. But the point is, you should do kiruv. You should do kiruv. Today, these days, I have to explain myself. People don't get my jokes. They Rabbi, at minute 19 and 4.5 seconds, you said instead of eh. Is that like, can you show me the source for the eh? Because I'm usually you say the eh. Can you show me the source? Which Gemara is the eh in? 57 different questions of the source. You give them the source, okay, and a second later they ask you another question, which means what? They didn't even look it up. They just want to know if you have a source. Why? In case you don't, then I can cancel out everything you said. You gave them 3,000 sources. You didn't have one, so that means that everything else is pasul. That's the mentality of someone that's looking for get out of jail free card, only to find themselves in jail again. Now, Rav Wasserman, Rabotai Yekarim, didn't play such games. If you ask them questions, he give you an answer, but also they tell you have to work for it too, you have to learn. But in this particular case, he gave us the exact picture of what the world is going to look like, not only at the time of the Holocaust, which he himself did not see. He got killed in the earlier part of the Holocaust, 1941, in a murder that was seen by many others, and a Kiddush Hashem, a true Kiddush Hashem, where right before they murdered him, and other Chachamim, he taught them the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem and told all of them, as we discussed last week, that this is the time that we all have to do tshuva, so we could all get burned and become korbanot, become the sacrifice to save our brothers and sisters in America, in the UK, and around the world. Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the rose out of the garden, That's because he's trying to take one very precious rose instead of 100,000 or 200,000 not such great roses. So he takes the tzaddikim sometimes in replacement of the people that haven't become tzaddikim yet. Source being Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. Now, Rav Wasserman gave us a very clear picture of what today is going to look like. Last week we talked about some general things about what the times of Mashiach are going to look like. You're going to have a generation of upside down mentality, full of heretics, full of people that are anti-Torah, full of people that are have mentalities that are really the opposite of what they're supposed to be. And it's going to be a very scary time because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be in a position where he's going to have to force us to do tshuva. As the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says, when Yeshua ben Levi has a debate with Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Eliezer, he says that if Am Yisrael does not do tshuva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send them Haman. Meaning, he'll send them Hitler. He'll send them Nebuchadnezzar. He'll send them a leader that hates Jews for absolutely no reason whatsoever, that's going to cause them such torture and anguish that they're going to be forced to do tshuva. Whether it's during the torture or right before it ends. And anyone that wants to understand what truly happened during the Holocaust, I have a few recommendations of books that you can read where you could understand that there's a lot more to the Holocaust that perhaps they don't teach in schools today. Or if you want to watch a video, if you go to my YouTube channel or the website bezrathashem.org, there's a playlist called Holocaust Research. And in there are many lectures that I've done about the subject, plus there is a film that was made that actually showed what happened at the outcome of the Holocaust. Every Jew, every human being really should see this at least once in their life. As horrific as it is, you need to understand that this is what actually happened, and it's not a, we're just mourning 6 million, but we have no idea what actually happened. You need to know what happened. Why? Because you need to know what happens when we do not listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what Rav Wasserman's next ma'amar, the Song of Azinu, tries to discuss. Rav Wasserman says, the Song of Azinu. Song of Azinu means Parashat Azinu. Parashat Azinu is in Sefer Dvarim, the book of Deuteronomy, and it begins with chapter 32. But he says that the Song of Azinu, which was a song that Moshe Rabbeinu sang to Am Yisrael before he fulfilled his last commandment to Hashem of going and to die, where Hashem is going to take his neshama. So his last speech, if you will, was this song. Was this song to Am Yisrael. And Rav Wasserman says that this song opens up with a special introduction, which actually begins in a previous parasha, in Parashat Vayelech, in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 19 through the end, 21. There's an introduction that begins, and there's an ending that ends towards the end of the Parashat Azinu in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 46. This serves to emphasize the great significance of this section. What does it mean that this has an introduction? So unlike other places, for example, when we crossed Yam Suf, and it says, Az Yeshir Moshe Ubnei Yisrael, that Moshe Rabbeinu started singing and Am Yisrael followed him, and then Miriam and so on, everybody's saying, there was no introduction to the song, why is the song being sung, or closure to it explaining what is really the whole thing supposed to mean. There was nothing like that. It was just, there was a song in the Torah. Great. We sing it, it's part of our prayer every day. Baruch Hashem, but no intro, no outro. It's not a Bezrat Hashem film with a nice intro and nice outro. No, just go into it. The Wasserman says, no. This song has an intro. The song is an intro, and it has an outro. And what is the intro and the outro? At the end of Parashat Vayelech, in chapter 31, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that Moshe Rabbeinu's life is getting towards an end, and he gives him some things to do. He tells him to go rebuke Am Yisrael. He tells him, go tell them all the things they need to do as soon as possible, because Mashiach is coming. When? It could happen any given day. So in essence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives Moshe the clear instructions of what to tell Am Yisrael, of what's going to happen before Mashiach comes. And Moshe says, ואמר ביום ההוא, לא על כי אין אלוהי בקרבי ומצאוני הרעות האלה, ואנוכי אסתר פניי ביום ההוא. That if we don't follow what Hashem says that you should let them know that my anger will flare up against them on that day, and I will forsake them, and I will conceal my face. Aster panai. This perhaps is the scariest verse in the entire Torah, because this is in essence what happened during the Holocaust, the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the first one, the second one, and people that deal with Torah codes find many, many interesting things in this verse, referring to the Holocaust. You also see in this verse that this is one of the proofs that Megillat Esther is indeed divine, because the Gemara says, where is Esther in the Torah? It says it's in this verse, Va'aster astir panai. That Aster, it's also Esther, if you change the Nikud. But the Chachamim knew that there's a lot more than just a similar name. And using Torah codes, they saw that if you start at the beginning of the verse and you start with the letter Aleph, Ve'anochi, starts with Vav and the second letter is Aleph, and then you count 12,196 letters, and you get to the Samich, and 12,196 letters, you get to the Taf, 12,196 letters, you get to the Resh, spelling the name Esther. Now anyone that's familiar with Torah codes knows that this is unusual, because for anything to be considered a valid, divine Torah code, typically it's much smaller skips between the letters to make up the words. You see, it's by design. Because if you count 12,000, 50,000, 100,000, I mean, you can make up practically any word, it seems like. So usually when you see Torah codes, it's usually 7, 10, 20, 50 letters, not much more. But here, we're saying, no, it's 12,196, and we're proud of it. This is, in my opinion, probably the best code that I know of. I'm sure there's many other ones, and I know of other ones, but this one is unbelievable. I know that my wife's favorite is a different one. This one, my favorite. This one and the one with Mordechai, because they're both the same thing. Both 12,196 skips. What's so significant about this number? Megillat Esther, you go home, count the letters yourself. How many letters from the beginning of Megillat Esther to the end? 12,196. The entire Megillat Esther that was written almost 1,000 years after the Torah, 12,196. The Gemara says, where is Esther in the Torah? They didn't have computers back then. They're people. They were giants. Said, Megillat Esther, it's in the Torah, it's in this word. So you see here, Rabotai, that the genius of the Chachamim was extraordinary, but the genius of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is infinite. It's unexplainable. Everything is in it. Now, at the same token, this verse is very scary, where it's telling us that Hashem will hide His face. Hashem will conceal His face. And they will become prey. And many evils and distresses will encounter them. It will say on that day Meaning the people will say on that day, it's not because my God is not in my midst that these evils have come upon me, but I will surely have concealed my face on that day because all of the evils that it did. Meaning that people are not even going to realize what's happening. All of a sudden, you are a government member, you are a part of the parliament, you are part of the board of some company. Next day, they're putting you in a Holocaust camp. Like, you don't even know what hit you. It's not like it's like a gradual move. It's one day you are considered one of the members of the people that's running the country. The next day, you're the enemy of the state. And you didn't even do anything. So people are going to be confused of why is this happening? They're not going to connect the dots. This is happening because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hiding his face, which in itself is a punishment. So now Hashem tells Moshe, so now write this song for yourselves and teach it to the children of Israel and place it in their mouth so that this song shall be for me a witness against the children of Israel. Why a song? A song that has a tune is easy to remember. That's why in the tradition of the Yemenites, for example, and many of the Middle Eastern countries, they used to start teaching their kids to read from the Torah very young. You see kids 6 years old know how to read from the Torah. Today, 60 years old can't read from the Torah. 6 years old, they know how to read from the Torah. Unbelievable. Many of them, already by the time they are in second, third grade, they can remember half or even the entire Chumash by heart. Unbelievable. How so? The method was teach them the tune. Teach him the tune of not only to read the Torah, knowing how to read, but to teach him the Torah as a tune because that makes it easier to remember. So Moshe Rabbeinu is told by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this song, this is not just a song. This is an instruction of what's going to happen if Am Yisrael goes against me, what's going to happen before Mashiach comes, but teach it to them as a song. Why? So they remember this forever. And they have an easier time teaching this to their kids. Because many times, you tell people things in the Torah, they're like, wow, I've been religious my whole life, but I never heard this before. But if you ask them, okay, you pray on Shabbat? Yeah. You know the songs on Shabbat? Shalom Aleichem. You know that song? Yeah. How come you know that song? I don't know. You sing it every day? No, but I know the song. I still once a week, I remember by heart. The song is easy to remember. So, Parashat Azinu, song. What kind of song? What a song. It's not a happy song. At least not in the beginning. Azinu hashamayim v'adabera v'tishma haaretz imre pi. Moshe Rabbeinu says, give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and may the earth hear the words of my mouth. He tells Am Yisrael, heaven and earth has to be my witness. Why? Because you may not live to see this. But the heaven and the earth will. And they will be my witnesses. If there's ever a time that Bnei Yisrael, that Am Yisrael says, no, I didn't accept the covenant, I didn't accept the Torah. It's not my fault I was born Jewish. It's not my fault that God created me yet. Heaven and earth is my witness that you, all of you, did accept it. And every single person that will ever live after this is one of you. Reincarnation. May my teachings drop like the rain. May my utterance flow like the dew. Like storm winds upon vegetation, like raindrops upon blades of grass. In so many words, make sure you remember this. When I call out the name of Hashem, ascribe greatness to our God, the rock. Perfect is his work, for his paths are justice. A God of faith without iniquity, righteous and fair is he. Corruption is not his. The blemish is his children's. A perverse and twisted generation. Is it to Hashem that you do this, O vile, stupid people, is it he, not your father? Is he not your father, your master? Has he not created you and formed you? Remember the days of yore, understand the years of generation after generation. Ask your father and he will relate it to you, your elders, and they will tell you. So already, Moshe Rabbeinu, introduction to the song. Pach! Stupid people! You're going to make sins against Hashem? Are you out of your mind? Don't you realize he's your master? Not only your father? Like the fake rabbi said, no, but he's my father, so he always loves me. Yeah, he loves me, but I'll punish you too. He's your master too. He's the king too. One doesn't negate the other. If you go against him, he's your master. You do what he says, he's your father. He tells Am Yisrael that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything he does is just. Everything is good. Everything is fair. Yeah, punishment is fair, yes. When you realize how many opportunities he gives you to do tshuva, to fix yourself, you realize how much good he's giving you even when you're not doing good. When you see the whole picture, you realize it's fair. And that's why the Chachamim say, in many places, including Rashit Chokhmah, that when a neshama goes up to the Beit Din of Shamayim and sees the movie of its life, and sees all of the sins that it made without doing tshuva, the neshama itself suffers so much from the embarrassment of going against Hashem while Hashem gave him everything. Gave him parnasah, gave him a good wife, gave him kids, gave him money, gave him health, gave him everything he ever wanted. And what did he give Hashem? The exact opposite. He gave him money, so instead of using that money to publicize Torah, he publicized things that are against Hashem. He gave him a wife, and instead of having his wife be tznuah, be good, he told his wife, honey, don't wear that headscarf, nah, it's not for me. Show your hair. No, that modest dress, nah, come on, cut it in half. Cut it in half. Show everybody what we got. Instead of having kids to send them to Talmud Torah, he says, no, kids, why are you going to spend $2,000, $3,000 a month on going to learn? No, go to public school. We'll spend the $2,000 a month on toys, on PlayStation. I'll get you a nice car, kid. I'll get you a nice Beamer, 17th birthday. He gave you money and you used it against him. When a person goes up to Shamayim and sees what his actions were in comparison to what Hashem's actions were, he suffers so much that the neshama starts crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, begging him, please put me in Gehenom. You are just. Now, and surely the neshama knows what Gehenom is. There's no more questions. It doesn't think it's just a place where it's a 12 months maximum sentence. It doesn't think that. Why? Because when you see the full picture, you understand that you made a very, very big mistake. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu starts the song and he tells us this is what you have to remember for eternity. Forever you have to learn this. Why? If you live at the generation of Mashiach as we all are, Baruch Hashem, you're going to have to know the song. You're going to have to know the song. And he goes on and he starts talking about different things of if we sin and what would happen. And the scholars of the Torah codes find some of the greatest codes in the Torah inside this parasha, to the extent where they find every single thing having to do with the Holocaust here. The names of the wicked Nazis, the famous ones, the gas chambers, everything, just everything that you could possibly imagine, they find it here. So, it's not a coincidence that this parasha talks about rebuke, similar with Parashat Ki Tavo. Same thing. So, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Am Yisrael that before Mashiach comes, we are going to make many sins, and that will provoke Hashem. We're going to provoke him in his jealousy with strangers, meaning we're going to start idol worshipping. We're going to anger him with abominations. What's called an abomination in the Torah? Homosexuality is an abomination. The idol worship is an abomination. Ga'ava is an abomination. Having pride is an abomination. So there's several things that are abominations, meaning our behavior is going to be completely despicable. They will slaughter to demons without power, gods whom they knew not. Meaning there's going to be different people that are going to start serving different forms of idolatry, some of them actually being real beings. It's not a surprise that, today, I'm not going to go into this because I don't think it's for toilet, but today is last couple of years, but especially in the last few months, it's become a very hot topic for people to talk about the Bonim HaChofshim, the Freemasons. Freemasons, the Bilderbergs, the Illuminati, all these different so-called secret, not-so-secret organizations that everybody knows about, but they're secret. And the truth is that they do exist. I've known about this for more than 20, 30 years. I know a few people that were in it. I know one guy that was in it for over 70 years before he died. I knew a few other people that were in it. I don't necessarily know what they did in it and their positions in it. I know one guy killed somebody and got away with it, but that's a different story. Before I knew him, though. Point being is that these organizations do exist. But the amount of weight that people give to them, and they start becoming scared about this. Oh, maybe he's a Freemason, maybe he's a Bilderberg, maybe he's Illuminati. What are we going to do? Guys, God runs the world. God runs the world. Stop being scared of people. Be scared of Hashem. Why? No one will touch you unless a Kadosh Baruch Hu signs off on it. No one. In fact, HaKadosh Baruch Hu writes in his Torah, Birtzot Hashem darkei ish, gam oivav yashlim imo. That when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is happy with you, even your enemies will come to you and say, I'm sorry. No one is allowed to touch you unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it. Meaning, it doesn't matter if he's Luminati or Puminati. Doesn't make a difference. Don't make a difference. But these organizations do exist. But the amount of conspiracy that people have magnified it to, they've almost forgotten about God. Every day somebody else sends me an email. 5G, it's going to ruin people. We're getting cancer just by having internet. Okay, so don't have internet. Go live in a cave with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. What do you want for my life? Don't have internet. They're going to spy on us. Wait, you think they're just going to start spying on us now? What are you talking about? They've been spying on us 40 years already. Wake up! Government's been following you for 40 years. What are you talking about? They've had this technology for decades. This is just an upgrade. It's like, you get your little phone every few months. Your phone provider says, you need to upgrade your phone. You press upgrade because you don't know any better. Upgrade, that's it. That's all it is. Upgrade. Upgrade technology. That's all it is. If you don't want something publicized, don't do it. You'll say, they're going to know what I'm writing in email. So don't write an email. They're going to know what I'm going to say. So don't say it. Don't want people to know, don't do it. That's the only way in the world. But that's already been the case for 40 years. When I was on Wall Street, early days even, I told my employees, listen, in the beginning I wouldn't allow them to have email. I said, why? I don't know what you're going to write. I don't know what you're going to write. You're going to write something, it's going to get me in trouble. I don't know, you guys are crazy. You're going to write, promise people money or something like that. No email. So they cried to me for like 2 years. No, come on, what are we going to do? I said, okay, from now on, you want to write an email? We have to approve it every single time before you send it. Why? Because I don't know what you're going to write. You write something, I'm going to get in trouble. And the rule of the firm was, if you don't want it to be published all over the world, don't write it. Why? Because one day it will be publicized. So if you don't want people to know what you're doing, don't do it. What are you scared of 5G, this G, that G? What do you think? Is this new information? If you're going to talk about Osama bin Laden, guess what? Sir, Osama is your cousin? You just said it to your friend, Osama is your cousin? No, I was just kidding. Oh, yeah, okay, well, we got some questions for you. Kid with us here and with the FBI, everybody else. Why? You're kidding. Don't do it. That's it. People put so much power into these governments and so on, to the extent where they forget that God is the one that's running the world. Now again, yes, these organizations do exist. Yes, there are some really bad people that are behind the scenes in certain things. No, I do not think that Bill Gates is the one that brought Corona, or is going to be the end of the world. All that stupidity. They started taking different films that they got from, like, that's on C-SPAN, like a government channel, that some guy is teaching people about different topics of, this fanatics, religious fanatics, and so on. And he said, oh, see, Bill Gates is teaching the government. It's not even Bill Gates, Bichlal. I know this video from 10 years ago. Has nothing to do with anything. He just said, no, this is Bill Gates. And since you can't see the guy's face, like, oh, see, Bill Gates is already teaching the government of how to kill religious people. People will believe anything. They believe anything. So there's so much conspiracy right now. I highly, highly recommend stop using the internet for anything other than learning Torah. All of this videos, this guy's going to ruin the world, this guy is running the world, this guy is, it's all shtuyot. And you're going to learn today, it's idolatry. You're going to learn today, it's idolatry. Which makes it even worse. But why do I even mention this? Because many of these people, the ones that are high level, not the average jokers that have Freemasons. Guy has a ring and he wants to flaunt it to people. Look, I have a little triangle thing on my hand. Yeah. These guys, usually, most of them are not real, not serious members. Most of them are just jokesters that do it for business, for networking, just to meet some people, maybe get some favors, get some discounts, stuff like that. That's most of them. But there are some of them that are serious about it. There are high-level people that are actual people that do some crazy stuff, which is idolatry. Serve the Satan, all types of strange things with animals. We don't necessarily need to get to this stuff, but the point being is that this has existed for many, many years. There's nothing new here. There's nothing new here. Are they the ones that are going to ruin the world? No, we are, if we don't do tshuva. They're just simply one of the countless tools that Hashem uses to do His will. Anyone that puts any weight on those people or anybody else, whether it be Bill Gates or Donald Trump or anything else, you're going to learn today it's a very, very dangerous game. Why? It's idolatry. That much of a dangerous game. So that's why, please, if you're watching those videos that talk about Freemasons and Illuminati and all that stuff, and you start looking at all your friends, maybe he's Lou, maybe he's Mahdi, maybe he's this one, maybe he's that. Look, he's got a ring. Maybe it is. Maybe it's undercover. Let me see your ring. Oh, it's not. Okay, yeah, you just got a DKNY. Okay. Stop with the nonsense. Go learn some Torah. Clean your mind with this garbage. Yes, it exists. And yes, there's a couple of good rabbis that talk about this topic. But it's not going to help you at the end of days. What's going to help you? Doing tshuva. It's the only thing that's going to help you. Anyone that's discussing this topic and not connecting it with the most important part, which is to do tshuva, is making a mistake. Making a mistake. I know a few people, a couple of guys that have been talking about it for a couple of years, Rabbi Ovadia, and not Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, a different Yuval Ovadia, and Rabbi Asol. They've been talking about this topic for a couple of years. Again, my Rabbi has told me many times that regardless of what topic it is, if you become fanatic about one particular topic and that's all you talk about, it becomes bad eventually because you become biased. So even if it's Shabbat, but if every lecture that you talk about is only about Shabbat, it becomes bad. You're ruining it. Even if it's wasting seed, the biggest sin in the Torah, but if every lecture is only about wasting seed, it becomes bad over time. You become biased, your mind becomes distorted, you look at everything in a wrong way. You're supposed to have a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. You can mention Shabbat, you can mention this thing as part of the lecture, but it shouldn't be the whole lecture every time over and over again. So the point being is that there are a few Chachamim that have mentioned this topic. Point being is that if anyone that you're hearing is talking about this topic, but is not connecting it to the most important point, which is for you to do tshuva, because that's the only thing that's going to help you in life with or without this knowledge, they're making a mistake. But generally speaking, the amount of knowledge you need to have about this topic, you just got it, you don't need any more. The rest of it is just a waste of time. The rest of it is a complete waste of time. Who was a Freemason, who wasn't a Freemason, I know all that stuff. I know it from my secular days, because I had a lot of time to waste. But it's a complete waste of time. It's not going to help you in life. 5G is not going to kill you. Bill Gates is not God. It's not. None of these people are. They're people. And the maggots are going to eat them for lunch one day also. Now, when we read this parasha, we see that some people are going to do things that are weird idolatry. It says that they'll slaughter to demons without power, gods whom they never knew. This is it. This is part of the hints. There's going to be strange forms of idolatry, not just the typical Christianity and Buddhism. Then he continues in verse 18, you ignored the rock. The rock is another name for Hashem, who gave birth to you, and forgot God who brought you forth. Hashem will see and be provoked by the anger of his sons and daughters. And he will say, I shall hide my face from them and see what their end will be. So we see here, Rabotai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu repeats the message over and over again about hiding his face, putting us in a situation where we're alone, and we're going to be in a very, very serious problem. Later on, he says our ability to fight back is going to be simply non-existent. So Rav Wasserman, in his letter, starts talking about a few of the verses in this parasha. What is said in this parashat Azinu? Everything which will happen to Israel until the coming of the Mashiach. A few verses which we will recount according to Rashi's explanation relate exclusively to the epic of Mashiach. So as you see here, Rav Wasserman, the Gdol Ador, is using the same Rashi that your 8-year-old is using. Why? Because anyone that understands who Rashi was knows that without Rashi we wouldn't understand one verse in the Torah. And if Rashi disagrees with it and what you're saying, you have to find somebody really, really big that precedes him, that says you're right. Why? Because if your local rabbi says something that's the opposite of Rashi, and no one else said it, guess what? You and your local rabbi are wrong. There's no way that you're right and Rashi's wrong. Now it's possible that somebody else has a different opinion than Rashi. Possible. But it has to be somebody same or bigger. Meaning, the time of Rashi or before him. Now, Rav Wasserman, as big as he was, as we learned about last week, he says, our job is not to focus so much on bringing new insights. Our job is to understand what the Torah is saying to us, which means read the Torah with Rashi's commentary. Why? That's going to assure you you're going to understand what's being said here. So, he's talking about now that this parasha, these few verses, are specifically focusing on what will happen at the time of Mashiach. And it starts with the verse in chapter 32 of Azinu, of the book of Deuteronomy, verse 36, where it says, when Hashem will have judged his people and relent himself for his servants, that after Hashem judges Israel with punishment, which are predestined for them, the promise is that he will relent himself for his servants. That will end up being fulfilled. Meaning that after all of the punishment, all of the anguish, the Holocaust, the Inquisition, the pogroms, the Chorban, Hashem says, eventually, don't lose hope. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of horrible things, but don't lose hope. Because just like there's a promise that if you do really bad things, Hashem's going to punish us, just like there's a promise for that, there's also a promise that there's going to come redemption. There's going to come Mashiach. The redemption will come. But when? Rav Wasserman asks. When is the Mashiach going to come? What do we know about Mashiach? Now the Gemara Masechet Sotah and Masechet Sanhedrin and several other places talk about different signs that will happen before Mashiach. A red cow, a generation that's full of chutzpanim, the inflation, heresy, all types of things that we talked about last week. But these are signs. Signs that we were at the time of Mashiach. 100 years ago, there were just a couple of signs. Today we have practically all of the signs except one, which is Mashiach himself. That's what we're missing right now. So how do we know that Mashiach is coming, mamash? How do we know? Rav Wasserman is going to give us the secret. What's the secret? The secret is in this verse. Verse number 36 says that Hashem, after all the chastisement, the punishment, the anguish, the horror, He's going to relent on His people. When? The verse continues, when He sees that the enemy power progresses and none is saved or assisted. When He sees that their stay is gone and there's none remaining. Meaning that the Almighty sees that the powers of Israel simply ceased. They can't fight for themselves anymore. They have no more hope in their Iron Dome. They have no more hope in their IDF. They have no more hope in their relationship with the Goyim, whether it be United States or the UK or Zimbabwe. It doesn't make a difference. They have no hope in Zionism. They have no hope in their own power, their own intellect, their own money. They've lost all hope in all of those things that they thought would save them against the enemy, when they kept saying, no, the Holocaust, never again. We're strong now. When Hashem destroys all of that, and Hashem Elechem, what happens thereafter, people are going to lose hope. He says, at that moment, at the worst possible moment, where people are pretty much hopeless, that's when Mashiach can come. Now, if that doesn't scare you, we'll continue. So also says the prophet. This is the prophet Isaiah chapter 63 verse 5. And I looked and there was none to help. And I beheld in astonishment and there was none to uphold. And therefore my own arm has brought salvation to me. Rav Wasserman says that the prophet Isaiah saw that there's no man. Saw that there's no hope. And there's not even anyone to pray for them. And it said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rebukes us in his Parashat Ha'azinu, chapter 32, verse 37. As part of the rebuke, says, where is their God? The rock in whom they sought refuge. Hashem says, I look in astonishment and ask, where is their God? The one that they trusted. God will ask, where are the idols whom you hoped would be a shield to you? Who ate the fat of the sacrifices you gave them? To whom you have offered the best of your sacrifices? Let them rise and help you. All of the above verses, Rabotai, affirm that before the Mashiach comes, the Jews will make a huge mistake after various forms of idol worship, and from time to time will transfer their hopes from one to another. Meaning that before Mashiach comes, we are going to be, Shem Yishmo V'Yatzil, as a nation, idolizing many different things. Now you're thinking, wow, Christianity is going to win? No. Christianity is just one of the tools of the Satan. Buddhism is just one of the tools of the Satan. And that's what Rav Wasserman starts to elaborate on now. He says, what is the nature of idol worship to which they have given allegiance to? Meaning this last generation. There's no way they're all going to become Christian. There's no way they're all going to become Buddhist. There's no way they're all going to start praying to statues from Chinatown. What is this idol worship? He says, first we must understand the meaning of the conception of idol worship. What is idol worship? Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, page 61b, gives a clear definition. Idol worship is any matter which appears to man as a controlling factor, independent of God's will, and able to do good or evil, is idolatry. Translation to English, that's clearer. Anything in this world that you think has power that's independent from God is a form of idolatry. Examples: money. You think that money gives you power, idol worship. All types of physical pleasures, amivin yavin. You think that's what makes you happy. That's what runs the world, idol worship. Stock market runs the world, people say, idol worship. spent all of their time on their cars, cleaning, driving, fixing, all of their hours of the day. I used to have a few people that lived in my block when I was a kid. All day on their cars. They would clean their cars like 90 times a day. All day, there's another tool, and there's another part of the engine, there's another different rim, and another button to the stereo. All day on the cars. All their life is about cars, with the exhaust pipe, and the windshield, and this and that. Idol worship. You spend your whole life on this thing? Idol worship. We're going to learn today that there's a lot of forms of idolatry, which gives us the understanding of what is the Gemara saying in the beginning of Masechet Avodah Zarah, when it says that Avraham Avinu, unlike us, the tractate of Avodah Zarah that we have in the Gemara today, in the Babylonian Talmud, have 5 sections, 5 chapters. But it says Avraham Avinu's Gemara had 400 chapters. Some say as many as 600. Meaning, his Gemara, tractate Avodah Zarah, the tractate that talks about idolatry, was bigger than our entire Talmud. All of the tractates. How much idolatry existed at the time of Avraham Avinu that he needs so much. That's because until now, we thought that idolatry was some statue or yoshke. Wrong. Idolatry is also bad character traits. Idolatry is also an obsession with something material. Idolatry is simply something that you are giving power to independent of God. You went to your job and you saw that the boss says, oh, listen, we're going to give somebody a promotion. And what do? You start kissing up to the boss, even though he's a wicked, sneaky criminal. Start kissing up to him. Why? Because you think he's in charge of you getting a promotion. You think he's in charge of you getting more money. Guess what? You just performed idolatry. Kissing up to people is idolatry. Khanfan, idolatry. Why? You thought that he's in control of your parnasah. Now, you want to get promotion, you can perform better at your job. That's not a problem. But to kiss up to people because you think they're in control of your money, idolatry. So Avraham Avinu knew all of these different types of idolatry. And Rav Wasserman continues and he says, let us review all of the idols which were worshipped in the last 100 years. The enlightenment of Berlin, or better yet, the stupidity of Berlin, promised great salvation. The Enlightenment, Moshe Mendelssohn and his buddies who said, keep your Judaism at home and be a regular person outside. He himself was keeping Torah and mitzvot, but his children and his grandchildren all became Christians and atheists and heretics. He himself kept Shabbat, but his mentality was so wrong that the entire reform and conservative movements were his child, his brainchild, and until today we're suffering from them. The Enlightenment caused a lot of problems for Am Yisrael and still does to this day. As soon as the breeze of liberalism began to blow, the Jews hastened to stand in the foremost ranks of its exponents. But after liberalism, even though liberalism just got reborn in recent generation, after liberalism made its exit, they turned to democracy, which is still alive and well today, unfortunately. And also socialism and communism and all the other isms which have come down upon our generation in such great profusion. To these idols they made sacrifices of blood and money and were betrayed by all of them. Meaning that although people said, no, liberalism, that's the way, socialism, that's the way, communism, that's the way, democracy, that's the way, eventually, Kadosh Baruch Hu shows you, not only is it not the way, but you're going to get hurt by this. Your very same people that you thought were your friends and your leaders and your idols, they're the ones that are going to be the first ones to kill you. Now, how could such a thing be explained? It says, not even one not even one of these isms, not even one of these idol worships justified the faith that had been pinned on it. Not only that, but all of these isms died a sudden death and vanished abruptly. We see that the communisms and the Lenins of the world, or the Karl Marxes of the world, even though they still to some extent exist and are admired by people that call themselves intellectuals, they're practically non-existent in comparison to when they were really out there. All of these things got an abrupt end. One day it just became popular to become a Nazi. National Socialist. Today, you say Nazi in most places around the world, comprised of civilized people. What, are you crazy? Get out of here. What are you, a Jew? No, but we don't like Nazis anyway. Even if I'm not a Jew. What's the matter with you? If you say some Nazi statement on some news, you get fired. No one's going to hire you. Many celebrities ruin their lives and their careers because of their racial remarks. Same thing with racism. 60, 70 years ago, you had two different buses. One for black people, one for white people. They treated them like they were slaves still. Today, if you even say the word black, they start qualifying you. Wait. Are you even allowed to say black? Do you know any black people? You have a black friend? Why, are you racist? Are you that? No. Like you have to qualify, because who gave you the right to say and talk and that? It's all political correctness nightmare. But the point being is that what was once acceptable became completely an abomination. People thought, by being racist, that's, we are the pure breed, they call themselves. Today, you say that to people, say, okay, you be pure breed by yourself in the farm, in, in the middle of Tennessee somewhere. Maybe you still think that the Ku Klux Klan is cool, but the rest of us civilized people don't think like that. We don't think like that. You go in your little costume, the little apron you have in your head, go over there in the woods with your friends. The rest of us are going to go back to civilization. Why? It's nonsense. But back then, popular. If you weren't in it, there's something wrong with you. So you see that all of these strange ideologies were once popular, but became something that was revolted by people themselves. Now, how could this phenomenon be explained? The prophet Yechezkel, chapter 29, verse 6, says that Egypt will be punished. It says in the verse, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. Which means that because Israel put their trust in the Egyptians, that's why the Egyptians are going to get punished. So the question is, what's actually happening here? First, we're saying that Am Yisrael had trust in the Egyptians. We have to explain that. We have to qualify that statement. What do you mean? Weren't they slaves? What do you mean they trusted the Egyptians? Second, we're saying that the Egyptians are going to get punished not because of the slavery and the murder they committed, but rather they're going to be punished because Am Yisrael trusted them. So if you look at the Midrashim, on the Pasuk, Ava Nitchak Malach, when Paro says to the Egyptians that Am Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael at the time, grew rapidly, 6 births in each labor. Each mom had a birth of 6 babies. Try that today, you'll be on the news. But, which actually, by the way, happened recently. A woman, I think in France, gave birth to 6 Jewish babies, Baruch Hashem. Not common, but I'm sure that the community will give her the diapers. I just hope they give her babysitters too, because that means you can't sleep for like 6 years. Anyway, it's cool on the news though. Anyway, how did Paro, who saw that the Am Yisrael was growing rapidly, became more numerous than them, meaning there was more Bnei Yisrael than there were Egyptians. How did he turn them from being rich, successful socialites, they had a whole city to themselves, bunch of money, how did he turn them into slaves? He says, Ava nitchak malach, let's fool them. So the Midrash Me'am Loez, and many other Midrashim concur, says this is what happened, Rabotai. Paro says, we can't just turn these people to slaves. They're going to join our enemies and kill us. So what we're going to do, we got to entice them with something else. What do they like? They like money. So let's tell them, they want to be part of us. They want to be patriots. You know, patriots. You want to be, I'm a proud American. You know, they want to be one of those people, right? You have an American flag on your lawn, even though you're Jewish. Good, okay. Let's make them, I'm an Egyptian, right? I'm Mustafa. Okay, yalla. Guys, let's go. Let's build a country. It's time to build. It's time to build a country. No, come on, Paro. We like the country. We like the tax rates here are pretty cool and everything's good. But I got a business. I just started another one. I got some real estate. But you want to be a patriot? Okay, so I'll give some contributions. So Paro says, we got to do something better. What do I do? I'm going to work myself. I'm going to go in the fields. I'm going to tell them, I love this country. I'm such a patriot. Paro, I'm going to start working. And Paro started working. And Bnei Israel admired their leader. Wow, look at Paro Trump. Look at that. Wow, this guy is amazing. Trump Paro. Wow, this guy is like the Mashiach. Wow, he's working all the time. He's on the press all the time. He has a show. He has a this. He has a that. Wow, ooh, ee. Now, come on, guys. You're going to stay working? Now we got to help him out. Now, come on. We got to help him out. Yalla, I'm shutting down the shop. Let's go. Paro, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're going to build this country up. We're going to build. We're going to build. So what's going to happen with the business? The business, Paro's going to take care of us. Paro promised us some money. So in the beginning, he gives them a little bit of money, and he gives them some tax rates, and he gives them some benefits, and he gives them this, and he gives them that. And little by little, their business goes down the tubes, and they're now depending on Paro. But Paro says, I'm allowed to renege on my trade. Why? Because I'm Paro. And that was the whole plan. And he says, listen, remember I offered you $5,000 a week because that's what you were making? Yeah, so many people joined this patriotic rebuilding of Egypt. I can't do it. So I got to offer you, instead of $5,000, $2,500. But don't worry, I'll take care of you with the tax and the this and the benefits and all that stuff. I'm going to take care of you. Paro, I love you so much. I see you working in the fields. I'm in. Yalla. Salary cut by 50%. Month passes. Listen, that $2,500, that check's not going to clear. That check's not going to clear. Don't even put it in the bank. It's not going to clear. It's just paper. Listen, I love you. That's why I'm coming to you personally. Here, I'm going to give you $1,000 cash. No taxes. Just $1,000 I'm going to give you. It's between you. Everybody else is not even getting. You're going to get $1,000. Paro, I trust you. You're going to give me when everything turns around. Yeah, for sure. Okay, salary just dropped. Another 60%. And little by little, he makes $500 a month. Little by little, he goes down to 100. Little by little, he becomes so poor and so broke that he has to depend on Paro just to give him food. And Paro says, now you're my slave because your business is gone. You have no other hope. And now you're my slave. And that's how slavery started. That's how we became slaves. Why? We wanted to become patriotic. Wanted to have a session with a bunch of religious Jews and say the blessing of the Melech on the president of some country. Even though Torah says otherwise. Why? We wanted to be patriotic. We forgot that we were really only guests, regardless of where we are, including in Israel. You are a guest in this world. No matter where you are, including in Israel or America or England or Australia, even if they're nice to you, even if all that stuff, when Hashem decides otherwise, they'll kick you out. Why? We're not loyal to Hashem. We're loyal to people. Hashem says, those people, you want to become one of them instead of my chosen people. And that's what Chachamim say. When a Jew does not make himself kadosh, and he doesn't do kiddush, then a Kadosh Baruch Hu has to do Avdalah. Then a Kadosh Baruch Hu has to make a separation. Avdalah also means the Avdalah of Motzei Shabbat, but it also means separation. When we don't sanctify ourselves, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to separate us from the Goyim to remind us that we are not them. Now, some people say, wait, so Jews are racist? Torah is racist? No. But everyone knows, if you read the Torah, Hashem says, you are the chosen people, and you're not allowed to intermarry with them. All of these isms, whether it be Zionism, or it be communism, or it be socialism, or other isms, make us think that we could become one with people that are not Torah-minded, Torah-life people. We can become one with the Goyim. Hashem says, no. Not allowed. So, the first part of the question is, how do we become slaves? We became slaves because we idolized the Egyptians. We had all of our trust in them. We had all of our trust in them, Rabotai Yekarim. Now the second question is, why were the Egyptians punished for this? Because it says that the Egyptians will be punished because we relied on them. So Rav Wasserman says that there's a big question. What sin did the Egyptians make? Because the prophet says they're not getting punished for the slavery part. Well, Hashem told them to make them slaves. Hashem already told Abraham Avinu, your descendants will be slaves. So what punishment, he says, what's the punishment for that Am Yisrael relied on them? So Rav Wasserman gives one of the scariest chidushim I've ever heard in my life. He says the following. We have one principle in the Torah that's connected to idolatry. What do you do with idolatry? You have to destroy it. Meaning that all idolatry has one end. It has to vanish. And as it says in Parashat Bo in Exodus, and in all the gods of Egypt I will do judgment. And also it says, and all idols shall utterly vanish. Meaning that once Bnei Israel had hope in the Egyptians, Egypt became an idol. And that is enough of a reason for Hashem to destroy them. So that means, Rabotai, that anything that we turn into Avodah Zarah, either we have to destroy it, or Hashem Himself will destroy it. But it must be destroyed at some point or another. Even if it's a rabbi that you've idolized, even if it's a big admo that did good things and doesn't want to be idolized, but can't help it that he has a bunch of stupid students that have idolized him and turned him into a god. That has to be destroyed. In fact, there are some people in the world that love being complimented. They love getting admired. Wow, look, everybody's relying on this guy. He's the gvil of the community. Wow, this guy's so generous. Wow, this guy's so good. Wow, yeah, you're doing great things. Chazaku baruch. It's good to give praise, but you go overboard. You start saying, oh, we all rely on you. This is what we're relying on. Guess what? You are giving Hashem a reason to destroy him. You're giving Hashem a reason to destroy this guy. Why? You're idolizing him. You're in essence saying that he has power independent of God. He's not a shaliach. He's not a simple vessel that Hashem uses to do His will. So, when we turn things into idols, Rabotai, Hashem says, I must destroy it if you don't. Now, when you really think about it, you think about society at large and how many things we idolize, and then we see how Hashem destroys each one of those things. A person idolizes money, Hashem gives him measure for measure punishment. What? He takes away all of his money. The guy worked his whole life, make a bunch of money, Hashem takes all of his money away. Or He takes him away from the money so he can't even enjoy it. One or the other happens, constantly. Constantly. You see the guys, they have a new TV show. Yeah, I just bought a house, $5 million, got a new car. Yeah, he's hanging out. 5 years later, he's on the unemployment line, collecting $200 like the rest of the people. What happened? What happened to the show? Yeah, it didn't work out so much. Yeah, but you made $100 million in your career. Yeah, well, that didn't work out so much. You know what worked out? Hashem's plan. It destroyed you. Why? You idolize money. And the same thing happens with relationships. Same thing happens with everything in the world. Hashem has a vendetta against idol worship. All of it at some point will be destroyed. So, when we look at certain things, we have to be careful, because literally, if we're idolizing something, that's enough of a reason for Hashem to take it away from the world, not just from you. So Rav Wasserman continues and he says, we've witnessed something amazing. 16 million socialists in one land disappeared literally overnight, leaving hardly a memory of them. Socialism was also an idolatry for which the Jews were not loath to make sacrifices, to give their lives for it. They believed in communism and that freedom and equality was its wake. The Red government gave a practical demonstration of what hoped for freedom and equality were. You know, it's funny that the word freedom and equality is in Hebrew ador ve'ashivyon. Dror, freedom. That's what it actually means, dror, freedom. It's interesting because we have it here, but amevin yavin. But the point is that the time of the communist Russia, that mentality to the people that were in it felt like this was the greatest thing in the world. We're going to have equality. There's not going to be anyone too rich, not going to be anybody poor. Everybody's going to be good. You know, everybody's going to be happy, and so on and so forth. So they would ask people, listen, who's your Abba? Who's your father? Stalin. Stalin. Stalin, yeah. Who's your Ima? Who's your mother? Russia. Once people saw the whole falsehood of communism and how it's completely a distorted, demented system that's against humanity and logic alike, you ask those same people, your father's, Stalin, Stalin. Right, because you don't say Stalin, they kill you. Mother, Russia. Mother, Russia. What do you want to be when you grow up? Orphan. I want to be an orphan. I don't want a mother or a father. All right? Nobody wanted it in the end. Nobody wanted it. But, nonetheless, at the time it was going, Rabotai, people idolized it. People gave their life for it. Unfortunately, many of them being Jews. Rav Wasserman continues and he says that we've learned that every idol in which we put our faith in has disappointed and deceived us. And as God says in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 32, verse 39, the same Parashat Azinu, let them rise and help you. See now that I, even I, am He. The time has arrived for you to understand that besides me, there is no Savior. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will put us in a situation where He will show us that what we thought was the potion for freedom and for goodness ends up becoming a poison. This idol worship, these things that we worship, whether it be money or everything else, becomes a poison. Now, Hashem says to us that He's going to put us in a very difficult situation, that we realize that He's the one and only Savior, that there is nothing else. There's no Yoshke, there's no Iron Dome, there's no nothing. But Rav Wasserman says we refuse to understand. No matter what Hashem says, no matter how many times we've seen a Holocaust throughout history, no matter how many times we've seen horrible things happen to us, generation after generation, we refuse to understand. They still clutch at the skirts of a dying democracy. To this day, people think the democratic system is a good system. No, why? It's so fair. Really? To who? Who's it fair to? Who's this democratic system fair to? That you're an average citizen, if your friend works at some company, it's a public company, and he tells you, listen, this company's going to do X, Y, Z, and you end up investing in a company, making money out of it, you go to jail for 20 years. But if a member of Congress does the same exact thing, nothing happens to him. In fact, he's allowed to do it on a regular basis. Doesn't even have to hide it. Doesn't have to hide it. If a person murders, but he has a good lawyer, he can get out of jail in 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years max. If he's a good lawyer, get a lot of money, sometimes won't even go to jail. O.J. Simpson, everybody knew he was a murderer, but he had a good lawyer, a couple of them. Didn't have to go to jail. A guy who stole some money, or perhaps didn't pay his taxes, can go to jail for 20, 30 years. Democratic system. That's the democratic system. Makes no sense whatsoever. What's so good about it? To who is it good? No, but they do good for people. Yeah, themselves, yeah. No, yeah, they build, but look, they build all these bridges and they tunnels, and yeah, and who do you think that owns the companies? Who do you think is making all this money? Their friends, their family, they're this, they're that. Why do you think these people continue working for government for 30 years? Even some of the most famous politicians, like for example, Ronald Reagan, he says that the government system failed when being a part of the government became a career instead of a stepping stone. If it was a stepping stone for you to go into government, maybe go, be there for like a year or two and then actually get a real job, okay, that's not a bad thing. But when you made working for Congress or being a president or whatever it is, that's your ambition for life, that's a problem. Why? You're a public servant. Why would you want to do that? Top salary for the top position is $400,000 a year. You can make more money selling stuff on the internet. Why would you want to do that? It's all because of the kickbacks. That's not part of the salary. It's all because of the other stuff. I remember when I was in the brokerage business, and there was a CEO of FINRA, which is the supposedly self-regulatory system for the securities business, transferred from the FINRA to the SEC. Now, if you're a public official, you're supposed to make, mediocre salary, $100,000, $150,000 a year, maybe $200,000 if you're a big shot. That's it. Yeah, the top public is the president. You can't make more than him. She got $15 million. $15 million as a, golden parachute to leave. $15 million. You have to be the top hedge fund manager in the world to make such money. But that's the thing. That's the problem. People don't know this stuff, or they don't care enough, and that's the corruption. People know, but it's democracy. There's more good than bad. There's no good outside of the Torah, Rabotai. That's the point. There's not much we can do about it as far as change the democratic system. We're not proposing some type of revolution, but don't for a moment think that any of these things, any of these isms, is ever good if it's disconnected from Torah, if it's the opposite of the Torah. Now, the problem is that we constantly think that we have a better solution. So, the smart Jewish people that unfortunately many times are not smart when it comes to their eternity, they're more smart about what's going to happen as far as to increase their bank account and their reputation. He says that we don't understand, we still hold on to this dying democracy, but this will not help, and this does not actually have any real value. But apart from all of these isms, which are shared by all nations, we're blessed with an exclusive Jewish ism, meaning there's a special ism that just Jewish people are part of. This is a nationalism that aspires to bequeath to the people of Israel a redemption, both material and especially spiritual. Its aim is to set up a new Hebrew people, which will know how to shake off from itself the dust of the preceding generation, meaning this new Hebrew people is not going to be connected to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, to Rabbi Akiva. No, you're going to be a Hebrew people, but not the ones like the old-timers, Middle Eastern, no, that's not. New ones, new version. This new ism is a new version. What is this ism? This ism is going to try to shake off itself from the dust of the previous generation and proclaim the verse in Amos chapter 6 verse 10. Hush, do not mention the name of God. Its plan of action is also very simple: to drive God out of the house of Israel and from the hearts of the children of Israel. And if you ask, who will stand up for us in the time of trouble? They will come and reply, ourselves. We're going to defend ourselves. As the verse says, my power and the might of my hand. Who are we? These are the leaders of our national youth, the heroes who brought about a state of war between the Hebrew people and the kingdom of heaven. Who is this? Zionism. The whole goal of Zionism, Rabotai, is simply to destroy Judaism. That's what Zionism is at its root. The founders of Zionism and many of the strong followers of Zionism, their main goal was simply to have the Jewish people have their own ism, but not because of their connection to the Torah, just because of the culture. Many of these Zionists were atheists, heretics, and some of them were actually Christian missionaries. Meaning, the worst of the worst. Most important job for them, destroy Judaism. And that's why I did a lecture in Hebrew recently, and I gave some facts, some stories from their own history, from their own books, these Zionists, whether it be Herzl or the other Reshaim that were on his team, before or after. What was their goal? Destroy Judaism. They clearly said themselves, Judaism and Zionism have nothing to do with each other. In fact, where Judaism ends, Zionism begins. Not as a continuation of Judaism, but rather as something completely separate that has nothing to do with it and wants nothing to do with it. Many of them converted to Christianity, converted their kids to Christianity, like Herzl himself. He converted his son Hans to Christianity. Didn't even give him Brit Milah. When Hans, before he committed suicide, he wrote a letter, a public letter that came out. It says, all of you knew that my father's plan was to convert all of the Jewish people to Christianity, just like he converted me. But yet nobody said anything. Before the guy killed himself, he told everybody the truth, who his father really was. But until this day, Rabotai, they don't teach us in Israel. They don't teach us in schools. I took a Zionism class in college. I read a book, 1,000, 1,500 pages, giant book. We had to read a lot for this class. None of this stuff's in it. A lot of other stuff's in it, but not this, what I'm telling you. This you have to find in specific books written by these Reshaim themselves. They just don't highlight this stuff. They teach you that the Zionist mentality, no, it's because we love the country and we love this. It has nothing to do with that. So now, the Zionists of today, many of them are not to that same level of extreme, but some of them are. Some of them are actually even good religious people, but they call themselves Zionists, but they're not the same type of Zionists. So there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion of what, who, what, when, and how. But generally, just so you know, Zionism at its core is anti-Torah. So, here Rav Wasserman talks about all of these different things that the Zionists are trying to do before they really got into power, before they really started torturing Am Yisrael. When did the torture start by the Zionists, the true torture by them? After World War II, after the Holocaust. In 1948, when we got a country, when we got the right to our own land, to Israel, the Zionists were the strong leaders. So they wanted to put a constitution together for the country. They refused to put the name of God in the constitution. The Jewish country refused to put the name of God. They didn't want to put God in there. Nothing to do with God. The religious people came, no. We're part of this country too. You have to do something. Secular Zionists, no God in the Torah. No God in the constitution. What did they settle? The word tzur. Tzur, as I told you, means rock, which is another name for Hashem. But to the Zionists, they settled on this because to them, Tzu meant the army, IDF. Refused. They hate the Torah so much, they refused. But when it was useful for them, Ben Gurion went there in the UN and said, listen, what gives you the right to the land? He picks up a book. What book? The Tanakh. If the Arabs were given wisdom, they would say to Ben Gurion, okay, the Tanakh says that this is the right, but Tanakh also says keep Shabbat, keep Tarat Mishpacha, keep this. How come you don't do any of those things? If they would have responded with that, we wouldn't have Israel. Now, the reality is, it's good we have Israel. Baruch Hashem, we have Israel. A lot of good stuff is in Israel. But the point is, are we living up the promise? Do we have it for the right reasons? So, this is a battle with no end. But the point is that Rav Wasserman knew about a lot of the stuff that's going to happen from the Zionists before it happened. Once Israel became a country, everyone from the third world countries, like Yemen, different Middle Eastern countries, literally thought that the Mashiach came. So they got onto planes and they started coming and putting their life on the line, going to a desert for 2-3 months just to go to Israel, because they thought the Mashiach came. As soon as they arrived, what was the Zionist first job? I just told you, remove God from their life. So what did they do? Said, no, now you're in Israel, no more mitzvot. They start cutting these young kids' peyot off, take off the kippah, no more tzitzit, no more tefillin. They took their sifrei Torah, burned them. Much worse than Nazis. Opportunity to make money. These Yemenite people had babies, they took the babies, said, yeah, your baby died. They sold them to Americans, did experiments on them. They killed people. You look at pictures of these people, they look just like Nazis. But, technically, halachically, they were Jews. So, Rav Wasserman saw all of this before it happened. A decade, 2 decades before it all happened. Until this day, there's a huge case in the courts of Israel about Yaldei Teman, the lost kids of Yemen. Babies that were stolen from their parents, young kids that were stolen from their parents and told to their parents that they died, and they really didn't die. Or some of them did die, but they killed them. These Reshaim. Point is, all of this is in books, all of this is real, it's not a conspiracy, it's in the courts till this day. And it's important to know what you believe and why you believe in it. A lot of people have blind faith in everything except God. You tell a guy, listen, believe in God. Oh, no, come on, I need a job. I understand you got a job, but believe God's going to give you parnasah. No, but I need. But when it comes to all these other things, I have blind faith in a lot of other things. And that's the root of the problem. Now, Rav Wasserman completes this section by saying, will this bring us the Mashiach? Will this bring us the redemption? The Zionism? They fancied that it would. They fancied that it would not be denied them to drive God out of the boundaries. That the thing was not difficult, meaning that the Zionists didn't think that it was very difficult to drive God out of Jewish people. But God's power is greater than theirs. And we stand now like smitten fools. We are not merely fools, but fools among fools, who are taught and do not learn. We are taught, we are punished, and our ears are still closed to reason. It's written, and the Mashiach shall come unto Zion and to those who return from sin. Uba leTzion goel leshaveh pesha b'Yaakov. Meaning that it's a prerequisite for the salvation that the Reshaim, the rebels, shall do tshuva. And as long as our leaders do not cease to go against the kingdom of heaven, salvation is impossible. So now, we do not have much of a worry ourselves in this room, or people that are watching, in regards to being idol worshippers to Zionism. But the question is, this whole section of the Epic of Mashiach talked about how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us clearly that if somebody is an idol worshiper, no good. No good at all. You have a very, very serious problem. Now, if it was just Zionism or a statue, really there would be very little point to have this whole lecture. But then Wasserman explains to us that idolatry comes in different forms. As he said, anything that you give power independent from God is a form of idolatry. So now a frum person is going to go up to Shamayim one day, after 120, and they're going to show him his life. And they're going to say, okay, Mr. Reuven, let's see your life. Look, over here you said to the guy, no, don't be religious in your heart. You have to put on tefillin. Can't just be religious in your heart. You have to put on tefillin. Put a kippah on. Right? You can't. You have to be real. You know, you got to do something about it. Keep Shabbos. Right? Can't be religious in your heart. Frum, right? You're religious. Got to tell people. Okay, that's chapter 1 of your life. Good. Okay, great. Oh, here you go. Wait, hold on a second. This is, okay, fast forward to the next chapter. Oh, wow, look at that. Is your boss over there. Oh, no, it's not your boss. It's a donor. Oh, it's a donor. And a donor is a Rasha. But he's, you all of a sudden is saying, oh, Mr. Donor, Kvod Harav, how are you? You start kissing his hand as if he's a Gdol Hador. Hashem is going to say, Reuven, where was I exactly in this picture when you idolized this donor? Where was I? Wait, you thought he's the one giving you the money? You thought he's the one giving you the money, the donor? That's what a person's going to have to deal with when they go up to Shamayim. Yeah, you did good. You told somebody to put on tefillin. You gave some tzedakah. You put on kisui rosh. You learned. But you idolized. Many times people kiss up to rich people, kiss up to people that have a position of power of some kind. Even if they're wicked, which makes it worse. You're never allowed to kiss up to anybody regardless, but it's even worse when you kiss up to a person that's wicked. Because there is a klal in the Torah. And we remember it with the word chashmal, the acronym chashmal. Chashmal also means electricity. But chashmal also stands for chanfanim, shakranim, medabrim lashon hara, veleitzanим. The chanfanim, people that kiss up, shakranim, which is liars, medabrim lashon hara, which is people that say lashon hara, and leitzanim is people that make jokes. People that are jokesters. You know, you say Shiur Torah, everything is serious, and the guy says like, he just talked about this, he's not wasting seed, He makes a joke out of the whole shiur, leitzan, clown. What they all have in common? None of them will ever see the Shekhinah. Promise from Hashem. You like to joke in Shiur Torah? You're a jokester. Have jokes there. Kiss up to people. You say lashon hara. All of these things, Rabotai, are detested by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, a person has to understand that there is a reason for all of this. But when we idolize money, when we idolize different material things, we don't see things clearly. We don't understand. Why shouldn't I, have people kiss up to me if I'm donating? The best thing in the world is people, come to you and say, listen, hi Rabbi, or hi Mr. Such and Such. I'm a long-time supporter of your organization, and therefore, ta 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 ta. Meaning, people think that just because they donate money to your organization, you're their employee. If that's your mentality when you donate, you're not donating. You're paying salaries. Donating means that you're giving money with no expectation of anything whatsoever in return. That's a donation. If you're expecting anything in return, that's not a donation. That's an investment or perhaps a salary. So in Shemaim, you're going to say, listen, Hashem, I donated $1 million to this school. Hashem says, you donated 0 to that school. Why? Everyone was scared to death of you. Everything you said, they did because they were scared that you're not going to give them $1 million every year. Your kid that's half retarded, they put him at the AP class, the advanced placement class, just because you're his father or you're his mother, even though he didn't even know how to spell Abba and Ima, but they put him as a AP. He doesn't even know what AP your kid is, but they put him there because he's your kid. Your daughter, Hashem Yilachem, we didn't want to talk about her, but she got valedictorian. All of these different things. The teachers would say Kvod Rav, even though you didn't even know how to spell Rav, you didn't even keep Shabbat. So your donations are not donations. You bought people. You bought people. You expected something in return, and you got it. It's not a donation. Somebody says, listen, I donate, and therefore I reserve the right to give you my opinion. It's not a donation anymore. You can give an opinion, but not because you donate. If you think that because you donate, you have the right to call the shots, it's not a donation. It's not a donation. But that's the problem. We think so much of our money that we think that if I donate to this rabbi, if I donate to this organization, I have the right to tell them what I want. No, you don't. If you did, it would not be a donation. It would be an investment. You invested and you bought a piece of the company. I was an investor for 20 years. I know what investments are. That's what an investment is. I give you money and then I tell you what to do. Why? I own a piece of you. That's an investment, not a donation. A donation is, here's some money, good luck. I like what you're doing. If you want more money or you just want to keep me in touch, something, give me a call once in a while or send me an email or something. But the money, I don't want anything in return. That's a donation. The second you think that you are entitled to your opinion, to tell them what to do or how to do, all that stuff, it is no longer a donation. And it's the worst thing in the world when people think that just because they give something, they have to tell you what to do. And it's happened to me quite a few times. Baruch Hashem, I don't have this tikkun. I already told you guys many times, I care less about money. Number one, because I had so much of it, it's disgusting to me. The second reason is simply because I don't think of any money as a lot. So people say, oh yeah, no, I donated $1,500. Like, no. What do you want me to kiss your feet because you donated $1,500? No. Even if I was homeless, it still wouldn't take $1,500 a lot. What do you want for my life? Donate $1,500, Baruch haba. What? No, but I think you should make a special this, and you should say that. Hey, take it easy. I don't work for you. I work for Kadosh Baruch Hu. My boss is bigger than you. My boss is bigger than you. What do you want? Why? Because you... No, I'm not going to donate anymore. You know what? I don't want your donation. How about that? Now, even if you donate, I'm going to set refund. And it's happened several times. I try to donate, refund. No, I wanted to donate. It was a mistake. No mistake. I refunded your money. I don't want your money. What do you mean, Rabbi? Don't you need... No, I don't want your money. Refund. Stop donating. Go throw your money in the garbage. You're not allowed to donate anymore. I don't want your money. How about that? You like that? How do you like them apples? No, Rabbi. No, nothing. Now you have no right to donate. You have to donate anonymously to a friend to hopefully maybe get to us. Maybe. And if I find out, I'll give you the money double. Why? Because you think we work for you. We don't work for you. We work for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Work for Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if I wasn't working for Kadosh Baruch Hu, why would you donate to me? If you can tell the rabbi what to do because you donate, you shouldn't donate. He's your employee. Give him a salary. Give him a benefits plan too. If you're going to donate money for kiruv, for Torah, for mitzvot, you should understand, you are donating, not investing. if you want to give your opinion, go invest. Go buy a company. Go get some employees. We got about 40 of them we pay salaries to every month. You want to pay their salaries? You want to buy them? Yeah, we'll have them for sale. Just, quadruple their salaries. What do you want? Go buy your own company. But that's the thing. People confused. Why they're confused? Because their mentality of money is warped to begin with. They think they can buy heaven. And that is what Rav Wasserman tells us right now. That's idolatry. That mentality that your money is worth more than a simple hammer, it's just more than a tool, that is idolatry in itself. You're worshiping money. You think that money is worth more than just anything else. You think that someone's going to give you money and they're going to show you in the Beit Din of Shamayim, oh listen, you kissed up to every single guy that was donating money to you. You idolized the guy. Where was Hashem in this picture? Now, of course, you have to show gratitude. Of course, you have to tell people thank you and appreciate what they do. But don't lose the understanding of the real source. Now, when a person has problems, even the Baalei Musar, some of the holiest people that ever lived, even the Baalei Musar said, there's nothing sweeter in the world than revenge. Somebody did something bad to you, instead of saying thank you for being an honest tenant, instead of saying thank you for taking care of my property, instead of saying thank you for working such a good employee, instead of being appreciative of the thing, or just at the very least leave you alone, what do? Let me get extra out of him. Let me dock his paycheck for no reason, but pretend like I saw him do something wrong. Let me kick him out of the house because of some legal loophole. Let me not do this. Let me not meet my agreement. So what do you, now you want to go against this guy. Why? Because he's hurting you. She's hurting you, right? The Baalei Musar says, you're right. There's nothing sweeter than getting back at somebody. Nothing. But you're not allowed to. Not allowed to. Now, the Gemara, Masechet Gitin, has a very, very interesting story. And all of it is going to connect somehow, don't worry. A few more minutes and we're done. The Gemara in Masechet Gitin, page 7a, says the following. Mar Ukva brings a question to Rabbi Elazar. He says, there are people that are attacking me, people that are torturing me, people that are, instead of being honest landlords, they send me a legal document that completely distorts all of the facts and is trying to steal money from me. Instead of being honest people and doing what I paid them to do, they're not doing it. They're torturing me. And it's in my power, in my hand, to hand them over to the authorities. Meaning I have some information about this guy that's going to simply ruin his life. Like I can tell something about this guy that if I say this, whether publicly or just to a few special people, he's simply going to commit suicide. Why? His life is going to be ruined. Can I do it, Kvod Harav? Because he's not a good guy, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a criminal. According to the law and according to Torah, he's a criminal. He's doing something that's not good. He's torturing me. And I got something juicy on him. Can I send it? Can I do it? Rabbi Elazar scored the lines. He wrote like a scroll, like a Sefer Torah for him, answer. Rabbi Elazar writes to Mar Ukva, a verse from Tehillim. It says, I will guard my ways from sinning with my tongue. I will guard my mouth with the muzzle, even while the wicked one stands before me. Tehillim 39:2. Which means that even if there's a wicked person that's fighting against me, Ashmira pi. I will guard my mouth with a muzzle. Won't say nothing. Mar Ukva responds. He gets the letter. No, come on, Kvod Harav, what kind of rabbi are you? No, come on. The guy is a beep, 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 and I want to do the teeth. You know, you got the whole thing. Expletive, toot. This guy is the word. He's not talking like that. He's Mar Ukva, he's Tzaddik Kadosh, but I'm talking about me. He's got all this stuff. You got all these wonderful compliments that are not allowed to be sold. You know? He's a criminal, Kvod Harav. He says to Rabbi Elazar, he tortures me, he's tormenting me. I'm not able to stand this attack. It's too much. I could stop it with one simple email. One email I sent to the right person, I'm going to ruin this guy. This Rasha Merusha, I'm going to ruin him. He sent this, and Rabbi Elazar responds. He sent him another verse in Tehillim 37:7, which says, wait silently for the salvation of Hashem and long for Him. And this can be interpreted to mean seek Hashem with the redness of the sun. And He will fell them, meaning He will bring them down, corpse upon corpse. Arrive early to the study hall to learn Torah, and leave late on the account of them, and they will disappear on their own. Mar Ukva, frustrated, tells his Rabbi Elazar, I got this enemy, this criminal, pretends to be a rabbi, pretends to be a good Jew. In reality, he's a criminal in every aspect. Erev Rav, degree. I got something on him. I can disclose it. Rabbi Elazar says, shh. We learn from David HaMelech, shh, quiet. Mar Ukva says, no, Kvod Harav, it's too much. He's killing me. He's telling me I got to get out. He's taking everything from me in 7 days. 7 days he's giving me. I'm going to lose everything in 7 days. I got something that's going to put this guy right back into the shell. You know, sometimes it rains, the little snail goes around, he feels safe, you know, everything's good. I can just step on him, he doesn't feel safe no more. Bye-bye shell. No, come on, Kvod Harav. He's an enemy, he's Erev Rav. Mar Ukva says, go learn more Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Himself will destroy your enemy and line them up corpse by corpse. Bodies. You stay quiet. No sooner that he got this mail from his Rav, the Gemara says that the words left Rabbi Elazar's mouth, that the authorities come and place this Ganav, this Rasha, under arrest that was torturing Mar Ukva. Meaning what the rabbi said is going to happen is what happened. But now the question is, okay, great, this happened to them, miracle workers, I'm surprised the guy didn't die. But what about us? 2,000 years later. You got some Rasha trying to torture you, and you got something juicy on him. Why can't you just, look at quick WhatsApp, look at quick email, something, just quickly. He doesn't even feel it until it's too late. Now what's the problem? What's the problem? He's torturing you. It's revenge, no? The answer, Rabotai, is everything we learned today. Chachamim tell us, revenge, there's nothing sweeter than that. But if you are declaring revenge against this person, what are you really saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You are saying that it's him that's torturing you. It's him, this person, has power over HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's this person that has right over HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will. He's doing the bad to you, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu signing off on it. Meaning, this wouldn't happen if HaKadosh Baruch Hu got involved. Like as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not the one that's allowing him to do it. By declaring revenge on this person, you are instilling power in this person. By saying, no, I got to go back at him. Why? Because he's doing bad to me, I'm going to do bad to him. Hashem says, no, that's the test. If you think he's doing bad to you, that means you think he has power. You are an idol worshiper, and I'm going to let him torture you. But if you stay quiet and you say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I know it's you, not him. When Shibi ben Gera publicized his opinion of David HaMelech, cursing him in public, klala nimretzet, every curse under the sun, in front of people, they wanted to kill him. David says, no, chas v'shalom, don't kill him. Hashem is the one cursing me, not him. Meaning what? Hashem is allowing him to curse me. That means I have to do tshuva. That's why he's allowed to hurt me. It has nothing to do with him. He's just a vessel. Yeah, he wants to sin. Yeah, he wants to do it. And he's going to get punished. But the punishment is not for me to do. The only thing for me to do is to do tshuva. Why? Because if I didn't deserve to be cursed, if I didn't deserve to get punished, I wouldn't get punished. If I didn't deserve to be tested, I wouldn't be tested. By me going and saying, I'm going to get back at him, I'm putting power in him. I'm idolizing him. So what can I do? Do what David HaMelech did. Nothing. Pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Go to the Bet Midrash and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, found you. You know when you play hide and seek, found you, game's over. Found you, oh, you're right there, how do I see you? You're right there, I see you, I see you. It's you. Game's over. So what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says? You see me? Game's over. Destroys the idol. Why? Because there's a rule in the Torah. If he's no longer an idol, I have to destroy him now. The guy is torturing you. I have to destroy him now. Why? It's not the idol. I have to destroy this guy. I have to destroy this guy. You see, Rabotai Karim, that's how it all connects. That's the significance of being a Ben Torah. Connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You cannot lose. You cannot lose. Yes, you'll have some difficulties, but you'll have difficulties anyway in life. At least with the Torah, you'll have a solution. When we try to go against people because they're doing bad to us just because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no. All I wanted you to figure out is that it's me doing it. Me allowing him to hurt you just to see if you're giving him the power or you know I'm doing it. As soon as you say, Abba, I know it's you. Abba says, good job, son. Good job, kid. Now let me destroy him for you. Why? I promised you that just like there's going to be chastisement, there's going to be punishment, there's going to be difficulties, I also promised you the redemption, the very same verse. I'll destroy your enemies and line them up, corpse after corpse. And that's how it works, Rabotai. That's how we fight. Because it's difficult. Especially when you have the right weapon. You have some big secret on this guy. You have some big weapon against this enemy of yours. Hashem says, that's why it's a big test. If you didn't have a way to defend yourself, you're hoping for me anyway. You're defenseless anyway. No, the test is not then. The test is when you do have a weapon, to still believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you think that you can handle yourself, but still say, Hashem, I'm going to go learn Torah, you go do it. You go fight this battle. Why? Listen, it's not for me, this battle. It's too much. You do. You brought it. I know it's you. I got you, Hashem, finished. When I play little hide and seek with my kids, hide and seek, it's called. Hide and seek with my kids, you know what we do? We don't actually really hide. You know what we do? Just go to the corner and just look at the wall. That's what we do. And we pretend, both of us, they know and I know that we're not hiding, but we pretend, we're going to pass. And then I peek, I got you, oh man, you got me. And then she does the same thing, my daughter does the same thing, and she's hiding right next to me. I'm like, where's Sarah? Where's Sarah? God bless her, 5 years old, she just turned 5 years old, I can't believe it. Wow, where's Sarah? Where? And she looked, I got you. That's the game. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is playing with us like 5-year-olds. Play along. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is playing with you. He's sending you a test. He's saying in 7 days your whole life's going to be ruined. Test. Stay strong. That's what we need to have in order to survive the end of days. Be'ezrat Hashem, next week, we'll learn some more interesting things of what other tools we need to have to survive these very difficult, trying end of days, but most importantly, the days that we can bring the Kiddush Hashem that we've always wanted and always yearned for, so we can be part of it, we can be members in it, we can be part of the people that help bring it sooner rather than later. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.